Another episode of The Issue Live. Thank you. I know. Thank you. I'm your host, Meyer. Welcome back. Let's jump right into it. Here we are with some current events.
Aww.
So we have Sarah Huckabee Sanders stepped down. Oh wow. Wow, I'm surprised she lasted as long as she did. Well, hopefully she goes back to whatever fucking cow pasture she came from. Javi, how old do you think she is?
She's at least 50.
For real, Javi, how old do you think she is? For real.
She's about 50.
Bro, she's 36. She's yes, she's 36.
Politics are getting to her.
Or the fucking whatever cow shit she's spreading on her face. Well, I wish you well. 2 years of service. It's a stressful job. I'm sure of it. You did as best you could. Next topic. Oh, the debate. See, look, there were 23 of them originally, but through whatever criteria, they had to cut the 3. Imagine being the 3 people who didn't make the 20-man cut.
You got to get donated for that, right?
You got to have a certain amount. You got to have like X amount of donators. You have to be polling at a certain thing. There's a problem with polls, though, right? The problem with polls is that they use, they take surveys with people with fucking landlines. Like, who the fuck has a landline, Javi?
But how the fuck did those 20 people get onto the debate and those 3 people?
Like I said, they have their criterias, right? But they're gonna give it to who they want, who they're gonna. You'll see how it transforms, right? How it transpires, right? Through this selection, through the Democratic primary process, right? Who they're gonna give the nomination to. You're gonna see how the media basically puts their person through as much as they want to. They're gonna determine, okay, where's the money coming in? If is that money the same money as my money? If who's that going to help, and if that helps them, then I'm gonna make sure I do my best to push them through. So, and a lot of these guys are very much corporate Democrats who are honestly no different than any conservative who's gonna look out for their special interest groups. Liberals like to play the game, like to play the part, like they're not these people, but at the end of the day, they very much are. But I will say, I'm gonna make sure I watch these 2. It's on Wednesday and Thursday, I believe. So the following Sunday, we're gonna do a special episode that will just basically cover the debate, who I thought came out the best, who these people are in the first place, because I'm sure none of you know who none of these motherfuckers are. And that'll be our next episode, so it should be pretty cool. We'll get into like who some of these people are, what they do, what their politics are.
What's your expectations?
Where their money comes from. My expectations?
Yeah. Do you got any favorites?
I for sure have some favorites. I like Tulsi Gabbard, right? I really like Tulsi Gabbard. She's along the same lines as I am as far as the foreign policy goes, and staying out of regime change wars and moving. I want us to move into the future, Javi. Like the future, like all this make America great again bullshit. Like the 50s is where it was at, is not where I want to be. We need to move into the future as far as energy goes, technology, just the way we are as humans, the way we operate as humans. We need to, climate change, things like that. We need to move into the future of this stuff, because it's different world we live in. It's not like, it's not 2001, 2004. It's not that era anymore. I'm 29, I'll be 30 this year, So I'm part of that millennial group that comes through that's like looking at these people like, what are you talking about? Like, how detached from reality are you? You know what I mean? Because they live in a different world.
So are they just too old?
Most of them. Most of them. It looked like that's an early bird at fucking Hometown Buffet. That's what that picture is. If you go to Home Buffet at 3:30 in the afternoon, those are who you're gonna find right there, Javi. I promise you. Let's go to the next topic. Mitch. Oh, Mitch on reparations. Let's see what Mitch got to say.
Yeah, I don't think reparations for something that happened 150 years ago for whom none of us currently living are responsible is a good idea.
Technical difficulties. But we'll get that shit squared away.
Oh, shit. Oh, here we go. We back. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
We're going to get the audio coming from here. So, you ready?
Yeah, let's run it back.
Yeah, I don't think reparations for something that happened 150 years ago for whom none of us currently living are responsible is a good idea. I don't think reparations for something that happened 150 years ago for whom none of us currently living are responsible is a good idea. We've tried to deal with our original sin of slavery by fighting a civil war, by passing landmark civil rights legislation. We've elected an African-American president. I think we're always a work in progress. Well,
first of all, Mitch, I'll slap the shit out you, Mitch. Watch your goddamn mouth.
Was responsible for that.
Us electing Barack Obama as president does not make up for fucking slavery. The idea that you would even think that qualifies as a... Well, Obama was president. That's good enough for you people. Like, the idea of that is ridiculous. And also the idea that... What the fuck did he just say? What did he say?
Want to play that shit one more time?
Yeah, run it back. Let me hear what he said again. Oh, nobody alive.
Yeah, I don't think reparations for something that happened 150 years ago for whom none of us currently living are responsible is a good idea. We've tried to deal with our original sin of slavery by fighting a civil war, by passing landmark civil rights legislation. We've elected an African-American president. I think we're always a work in progress in this country, but no one currently alive was responsible for that.
Okay, so nobody currently alive is responsible. But let's make a list of who currently alive now profited from it. Well, how long is that list?
That's a pretty long list. We can go.
Yeah, but we'll pull it up right now. We'll go through this list right now. Give me a second. And I guarantee you the majority of them are going to be banks. Who we got?
The first one.
Lehman Brothers.
Eggman?
Don't know who that is.
It's a health insurer, the largest health insurer.
The largest health insurer in the world?
In the U.S.
In the United States?
Yep.
Of course it would be J.P. Morgan. New York Life.
Another large insurance company.
Wachovia. Wachovia
now
Bank.
Owned by Wells Fargo. Another bank.
These are all banks. All banks, mind you. All the biggest profiteers off of slave labor. All existing now to this day. We'll leave it at that. Oh, this is Trump decided to release was talking to, who was he talking to it about with
some news.
I can't remember what the guy's name was. We'll show you guys the clip, but he was talking about releasing his financial statements and his intentions to do so.
You will see my financial statement at some point. I assume it's going to be released.
This is our president, ladies and gentlemen.
No, at some point, I might. But at some point, I hope they get it because it's a fantastic financial statement.
That cough from his chief of staff, Mick Mulvaney.
And let's do that over. He's coughing in the middle of my answer.
Yeah, okay.
I don't like that, you know?
Your chief of staff.
If you're going to cough, please leave the room.
From his chief of staff, Mick Mulvaney.
Just can't.
Just to change the shot.
What are you gonna cough?
Okay, you want to do that?
What are you gonna cough? This is our. What are you gonna cough? All right, go fucking outside, or I'm doing a fucking interview. You ain't gonna. You want to do that? You gonna cough? I don't really care about the financial statement. I just thought the video. That's our president, ladies and gentlemen. That is our president. So embarrassing. Let's move on to the next topic. Don't fucking cough, Javi. I fucking dare you. Don't you cough, motherfucker. Two oil tankers in the Gulf of Oman came under suspected attack last week, I believe, on July 13th. So before we go into the next, I want you to understand that the United States and its not security agencies, CIA, FBI, those agencies, right, have all basically agreed that Iran is responsible for this attack, and they have proof, they say, of this attack. Let's show them this proof. I don't even know what the fuck that is. Now, reportedly, this is them removing a magnet which they placed mines on, right? So they stuck mines, they put them onto a magnet, and they stuck them on the side of the oil tanker. And this is the evidence that Iran, specifically Iran, is responsible for this attack.
This is recently?
This is last week.
And that's the footage we have?
And we talked about this in the last episode. I told you how you have the National Security Advisor, John Bolton, who has a hard-on for Iran, and all he wants to do is go to war with Iran. You have the former director of the CIA, Mike Pompeo, who is now our Secretary of the State, who let's show everybody this is who Mike Pompeo is.
I was the CIA director. We lied. We cheated. We stole. I was the CIA director. We lied. We cheated. We stole. It's like we had entire training courses.
That's our Secretary of the State, former CIA director. Now, I understand Trump is in office, right? I understand he's in office and we don't like the guy, but the CIA is still the fucking CIA. And the idea that they're all of a sudden these good guys because Trump now is in office and Trump talks hella shit about the CIA and the FBI and all that these guys are now mysteriously wrong about everything or right about everything, is bullshit. Mike Pompeo, that is who these people are. That is our surveillance community, our CIA. This is what they do. And we've seen this playbook before. Like, we've been through this already. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Iraq, a country that we're still in to this day over weapons of mass destruction that we never found. It's the same exact thing, the same playbook perpetuated by the same people in office. And it might not happen today, it might not happen tomorrow, but guarantee you, it's going to happen. We will be at war with Iran. Guaranteed. It's probably more than likely going to happen after the election, once Trump more than likely wins the election, because let's just be honest, he's going to win the election. And then the same way, kind of like Obama, once they're on their second term, it doesn't really matter. You're not going to reelect me, so I'll start any war that I want to. So that's more than likely what they are going to do. Javi, can you do me a favor? Can we go back to Mitch McConnell? I had a good point that we keep going.
I don't think reparations for something that happened 150 years ago, for whom none of us currently living are responsible, is a good idea.
I wanted to get back to this topic because
I don't think reparations,
when it comes to reparations, right? And we talked about this
for whom none of us currently living are responsible, is a good idea.
if black people were to receive some type of reparations, right, it would have to be done in a way that's similar to the way that the Native Americans get their form. It's not exactly called reparations, but it would have to be along the same lines. It would have to involve land, and it would have to involve some type of control of some type of commodity. And I was saying that a good way would have to be, like I said, it would have to be land. It would have to be control of maybe an industry like marijuana, to where black people would have the sole control over maybe growth and distribution, as far as that goes. And then maybe, people who live on the land get X amount of dollars. People who live off of it, you would have to set some type of standard, whether it's 15%, 20% black, somewhere along those lines. So I think the natives it's 15% at least, I believe. I could be wrong, don't quote me. It's somewhere along those lines. So, and that's what we would have to do. It would have to be somewhere along those lines. I'm not for anything that leaves black people more beholden to white people. So if it's a case that we're just be getting a check from the government, that wouldn't suffice, because, they could just easily be like, fuck you and your money. I don't have it this week, or there's budget cuts. We have to take X amount of dollars for this, that, or the other. And that wouldn't work. It would have to be a scenario that we control specific areas so that we in turn distribute the money, not the government. It would have to be, like I said, land, industry, and we could move forward from there as far as reparation goes. It couldn't just be a check. And I wouldn't be for any type of form of just direct deposit, basically, to black people, because, like I said, they would just as easily as you think that they could give it, they would take it. Absolutely would take it. That's all. I want to make sure we got past that. So, what we got next? Hot takes. Who we got for hot takes? It's
strictly business. Strictly business as, what do you think about the peace and prosperity plan for Palestine?
I believe they proposed $50 billion.
$50 billion. Yep.
And as of today, right, they just Palestine chose to.
Yep, they chose to deny it.
Well, good for fucking them, man. Because that's not going to solve the issue. $50 billion isn't going to solve the issue. The problem, that's why there's no peace. Let's be very clear. Why there's no peace in the Gaza Strip and between Israel and Palestine is because Israel continually, habitually line steps. They murder people at the border. The Gaza Strip is basically an open prison. They keep encroaching their land onto the Palestinians, as far as they keep just taking more, pushing past their borders, expanding their borders onto Palestinian land, and anybody who fights back against it, they just murder and maim. Netanyahu, I'm pretty sure that's Israel's prime minister, is a known human rights violator, known, and has been doing this, and we protect him at every step. And I know it's a who Jared Kushner proposed this, right?
Yep.
You have any idea what Jared Kushner is in control of?
I'm not 100% sure.
Let me go down the line of what this is Jared's plan, right? Jared's Palestine plan is for this $50 billion. There are other aspects of it. Half of it, I think, comes from Palestinians themselves, so I don't know how that's going to work. But let me just go down a list of everything Jared Kushner is in control of, okay? Jared Kushner is in control of Middle East peace, government reform, opioid crisis, criminal justice reform, and is the liaison, so basically the go-between for 3 different countries.
I mean, how's he ever going to get anything done?
He doesn't. Believe me, he doesn't. He does nothing. That's Jared Kushner, for you guys, if you don't know. I don't have a picture for you guys, but this is Donald Trump's son-in-law, married to Ivanka. his pride and joy. So, yeah, that's $50 billion isn't going to solve, especially $50 billion to a country that's in the state that it's in right now. In kind of, it's not exactly it's basically in chaos. It's not far from being a failed state themselves. So, just throwing $50 billion at that is not going to solve anything. And good for them calling out and saying, look, $50 billion is not going to solve this issue. Excuse me. The politics around it is what's bad. You know, Netanyahu violating human rights, encroaching on our borders and on our land, killing people at the border openly, you know. So those issues need to be fixed before, you know, they just decide to throw $50 billion at them, you know, because if Israel's still going to be doing what they're doing to them, that $50 billion is not going to mean nothing, you know, whatsoever. So, with that being said, let's move on to our main story for tonight. Now, my main story tonight focuses on the current state of politics and how it's become so divided. It used to be about ideology, but now it's really just about winning. Now, I have a theory that Americans are suffering from a form of PTSD that stems from the financial crisis of 2008. Now, let's break down the series of events that led to this crisis and how it has come full circle to the situation that we're in today. So, let's rewind all the way back to the year 1999. During the Clinton administration, the economy was in a good place. Clinton had decided to expand on this success by repealing the Glass-Steagall Act, implementing a series of bills that pressured the banks to give home loans to lower-income people. An idea that at the time wasn't really a bad idea. The country was enjoying good economic times. Wages were good compared to the cost of living. Inflation was low, and the country had paid off most of its debt. Now, at this point, the American dream was basically being sold at what was perceivably a discount. Instead of having a credit score of 700 or better, they started lowering the bar, accepting credit scores as low as 500. Now, during the time between 1999 and 2008, the American dream of home ownership was being granted to people that before could not afford it. And unbeknownst to them, that dream was about to be ripped from underneath them by shady lenders and banks who would hide their toxic assets to make things look on the up and up. Credit default swaps, etc. Now, fast forward all the way up to 2008. People are literally getting ripped from their homes. And while this was happening, the people who caused the financial collapse were getting bailed out. So, not only did the American people get sold a false dream, they saved and protected the people who perpetuated it. And in the midst of all this, social media rises to prominence and throws kerosene basically on the whole situation. Now, I have social media accounts, and I'm sure 100% of the people who watch this have some as well. Now, the problem is that social media basically took over mainstream media, causing outlets like CNN, Fox, MSNBC to resort to clickbait news in a failing attempt to compete. Fox News has basically turned into state-sponsored propaganda, and MSNBC is full of a bunch of crybaby talking heads that regurgitate talking points that they themselves don't know anything about. Social media also ushered in a new form of bubble mentality, and that social media has also ushered in a new form of bubble mentality that, through their algorithms, put people into identity groups, which not only separates people, but in some cases radicalizes them. The rise of political correctness and outrage culture, the need to feel offended every time either somebody talks about or says something that you don't agree with, which only pushes people further into their identity groups. the spread of misinformation. When you're in these specific bubbles, misinformation goes unchecked, and it doesn't matter if it's true, it just matters if other people believe it. So basically, we sold Americans a false dream. We took those people out of their homes, bailed out the people who created the problem. Now we separated people into different identity groups that only really reaffirmed their whatever social disposition they felt that they were going through. Fed them a diet of misinformation so nobody trusts the media. Then to put the cherry on top of it, we elected a man that people either absolutely love or absolutely hate. So here we are today. Liberals are going through an identity crisis, and conservatives don't really care about anything other than owning the libs, carrying around their coffee mugs full of liberal tears. Politics has become pettier than a celebrity clapback on Instagram, and it's basically become a race to the bottom. And to be honest with you, in the process of me writing this, right, I figured, I would think of something clever, some clever solution, but I can't. I mean, we live in a world where real people think the earth is flat. Mass shootings are a hoax, and the Illuminati controls the world. The ridiculous and laziness of the American people to do any real research and come up with an original opinion of their own leads me to believe that we are nowhere close to getting back to any resemblance of normalcy. So basically, if people don't start to do real research, not YouTube University, and not just listening to me and taking my word for it, we become a nation full of brilliant idiots arguing facts that don't exist. With that being said, my favorite part of the episode. Shit. L of the week. Now, last week we put Alabama on here for their atrocious abortion laws. And here we are with Missouri, who, as of 2 days ago?
2 days ago, yeah.
Health Department will not renew last remaining clinics licensed to perform abortions, which they're wording that very well. But if they're going to, them denying abortions is a small percentage of what Planned Parenthood does. In fact, their biggest thing that they do is abortion prevention, like, birth control. That's the majority of the work that they do, and it's good work that they do there. And the idea that the last remaining Planned Parenthood is going to be removed of their funding, so that Missouri no longer has any type of abortion clinics, or healthcare service, or specific, I would say specific healthcare system for women, is why you're going to get this. So again, we're going to accumulate every single state that decides to adopt some bullshit legislation or some sneaky way to cut out women's rights is going to be holding this. So Alabama, Missouri, and we're going to rack up a few, as many as it takes, because this basic war on women that's starting to take place when it comes to women's rights specifically is it just makes no sense to me, I don't understand the thought process or the thinking in it. Like I said, I try to do my best to be to look on both sides of the equation, when it comes to liberal or conservative. I understand why people don't like or wouldn't want abortions. I understand. Not that I agree, but I understand how you in your head got to that. When it comes to late-term abortions, that's not something that I like or agree with. And it's not even that abortion is something that I like in general. Like I said last week, it's not that I'm like, most people aren't out here like, yay, abortions, But a lot of it comes down to circumstances and the environment that, a woman would have to bring a child up that forces her into a decision like this. And so for Missouri, no longer being having women no longer with this available to them is why you are getting this today. So that belongs to you. And ladies and gentlemen, that concludes another episode of The Issue Live. Thank you guys all for watching and tuning in. We will be back with a special episode next week, so make sure you guys tune in for our special episode next week. And until then, stay out of trouble, kids. It's all right.
I've got a bad feeling about this. You hold it.